Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Hello everybody. This is Muhammad Anwar Shah from Peshawar, Khyber, Pakhtunkhwa, Pakistan. I have been working in elementary and secondary education department for the last 7 years, being an English teacher. And teaching for me is not only a profession, but it's also a kind of a social work, and it's a social services. So it's my passion too. Like I become a teacher not by chance, but I'm a teacher by choice. Currently, I'm in the U.S. For the Teaching Excellence and Achievement Program 2019. It's been a very overwhelming experience for me.
I'm Gulshan. I have been part of Akhan Higher Secondary School for the last 3 years, and then I had to transfer my job as a secondary school teacher. So I'm here as a T participant, and I'm enjoying my time in US.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is SHAZIA. I'm from Balochistan, serving in district Peshawar. I'm a secondary school teacher, and it's honor to be part of this prestigious program entitled as a Teaching Excellence and Achievement Program. And my vision is to empower every girl through the power of education.
I am Yahya Haider from Gilgit, and I have been serving Department of Education Gilgit-Baltistan as a language teacher, and I teach up to grade SSC, and I am honored to be here in US for Teaching Achievement and Excellence Program. And I am here for learn new techniques, as America is the one of the most excellent education system. So I'm hoping that I could apply new techniques that I learned here. I will apply in my school when I go to home.
T program is, though it is very teacher specific, but it also covers the other domains of our lives. That is something like the way we carry ourselves, and social interaction, socializing with the people. And as we all know that the world is becoming a global village, and the distances there, the gaps they are bridging. So there is a dire need for the people of one area or one continent to the other. Hence, I belong to another one continent, and I've been finding myself in another. So it's pretty like the need of the day to interact with different people across the continents, and share your own ideas with them, share your own culture with them, and vice versa. So it's not something which is very academic. It also covers other domains of life as well. So it's been something, I would call it a very perception altering or perception changing tour for me. Because our perception about America, not only in my country, Pakistan, but all over the developing world, is that America is something like it is out of the world. And what we see on our TV screens, what we see in the Hollywood movies, and what we see like through media, and then having the first-hand experience of something which really is like something kind of a dream for everybody to experience that. So I had the very first-hand experience of the thing, and why I call it a perception-changing tour or an experience, because what we think about America and American people, the ground realities is quite different from that. So it's been benefiting me. It has been adding to my repertoire of knowledge, not only about the academics, but also about like my people-to-people interaction and other things. So it's not only benefited me academically, but also socially and culturally.
Yeah, as far as this T program is concerned, it stands for Teaching Excellence and Achievement Program. So it has got three main objectives. First is to help teacher develop professionally. Second is to learn more about culture of Pakistan and exchange our culture and learn more about US culture as well. And thirdly, to develop our language skills. So I will talk more about language skills because most of the time in our context, being English teachers, we avoid speaking English in our classes. So we will teach English in Urdu or in mother tongue. So at the end, students are not in a position to speak English properly. Even I have seen so many English teachers, they are not speaking English fluently. So I mostly motivate them to speak English, at least in their classes, English classes. So we are teaching English as a subject rather than taking it as a language. So once I came here, I got to know that we have to develop our language skills.
Like Gulshan said, I will second her point of view. We are on exchange program. It is not only to get from America, but also to introduce our culture through our language, through our dresses, through our food. So I also experienced that during my our graduation ceremony, when I was in my regional dress, I found that people were quite interested to know more about my traditional dress, which were having their beads and all the stuff. It was so vibrant with colors, different colors. So they wanted to know more and more about my culture through my dress and through my language, through my music. So I not only gave them my culture, introduced not only my culture, but I'm also taking away different strategies, the patriotism which I found over here. That is something, and the professionalism, the punctuality.
Yeah, punctuality.
I will definitely take these things with me and will not only try to transfer those strategies, but also to start from my own self. As it is said that charity begins at home, so I will try these all things from first from myself. Then I will also advise my student to make it part of their daily life.
When I entered this profession, because I was not planned that I am going to join this profession. When I entered the profession, I felt that I should be a teacher for rest of my life, and I was looking forward to have such kind of program before 3 or 4 years ago. And luckily, I came across on Facebook that T program is a program that is announced for English language teacher, and I rushed to internet corner. And I just applied last time, and unfortunately I was not selected. And this time I am lucky to be here, and it's a very good experience for me. And I was also not good in listening. After completing this program, I am good in listening English.
So it has improved your listening skill.
Yeah.
Same, it's
Okay.
story of every
Like-
candidate, I guess so.
Gulshan made a very good point about English. There are two different perspectives of English. One is as a subject, and a majority of the general masses as well as the English language teachers, they like most of the time do not recognize the difference between what is English as a subject and what is English as a language. English as a subject is something where we study the literature of English, like studying dramas and novels, poetry, the prose. So that is something which is called English as a subject. We pursue those degrees then at a higher level to study English literature. But English as a language is something which is very much concerned with the 4 language skills: listening, speaking, writing, and reading. So in order to improve these 4 basic language skills, the requirement of the teaching also alters with the requirement of what we are going to teach. So the subject matter as well as the teaching methodologies, they differ. And what we miss, I would say back home in my country, is we treat both of them the same way, which is, to my mind, after coming here and realizing it's not the same thing, it's quite different from either. Like English language teaching, ELT, is an umbrella term, and that needs a lot of professionalism, a lot of skills, and a lot of techniques, teaching strategies and techniques. So in order to be an English teacher, an English language teacher, one should not have only the knowledge about English literature, but also should a teacher, a good English teacher, should be equipped with something where by the application of these one could improve on teaching of those 4 language skills.
Let's talk about our journey when we started
Yes.
come to America from Pakistan.
Yes.
And for the first time, almost all of us going out of the Pakistan. I think, Anwar, you have been to
I've been
Saudi Arabia.
to a few
Okay.
countries before.
It was very amazing to fly in with 450 or 350, I think, in the plane to fly over
Yes.
for the long journey for 17 hours. It was amazing for me. And when we landed in Washington, that was our dream.
Yes.
I would say that it's a dream for
Coming
me,
true,
Yeah.
and that came true. And
Like-
Gulshan, how do you feel about your journey when we landed in Washington, D.C.?
I found myself on a different planet because everything was different from Pakistan. Being a person from Pakistan, we mostly have different things that are not we are not technologically that much advanced. So once we came here, we got, especially I will talk about teaching strategies we found over here, attending different classes or different sessions, because I really found amazing the techniques that are used by teachers over here. Because while teaching, even I will talk about paragraph writing. I was teaching paragraph writing to one of my classes. So I was using different techniques, and they were not used that much useful. But once I attended that class over here, it was very basic. It was very useful for me. So when I'll go back, I will obviously use these techniques and strategies. And everything was amazing for me.
Okay, we already talked about that. This is a cultural exchange program, and besides we learning teaching techniques, we enjoyed a lot of things. Like
Yes.
we had cultural shocks when we entered in D2 Dietrig Hall in Virginia Tech. And we have a lot of variety of foods in the corners.
Yes.
And for the first time when I entered, I have seen a lot of food, but I could not choose any food for myself. So, SHAZIA, would you talk about
Yes.
the food
Yes,
we had for
it
last
was quite shocking for me, not only for me, but for every candidate when they look at the cold water in such a chill weather, like ice was there, and we were like, what is this going on? And the second shock was, I guess, the chilled egg during our breakfast.
everything was
Yeah.
freezed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were missing actually the Pakistani taste, but later on we were such
We got used
we got used to it, and we found it quite change yet interesting.
And
Yahya talked about the journey. I would just go back a little. For me, it wasn't that much of a cultural shock because, like I said, that world has become really a global village now. So I was aware what's going to happen to me. And but one thing I would like, I applied last year too. And after doing so well with all and going through very successfully through all the stages, when I got that email, that regret email, it was a kind of a bombshell for me. And believe me, I couldn't, the whole of the town knew that I'm flying. But then what happened that I got that regret email, and I wasn't selected after going through all the preliminary stages very successfully. So this time around I applied, and when I applied, I was out of the country. I was performing Umrah in Saudi Arabia.
I guess you wouldn't tell anybody.
Yes, but I kept mum. The one thing, the experience I took along from the last year was that I kept mum. And then that the most pleasant thing happened to me, that unlike the last year, I got an approval from the railway office that now you are. So flying here into the US was I was excited, but once I got off the plane, all my excitement, it got vanished, and I got preoccupied with so many things, like where I have to go, how would I study, how would be the people around here, how would be the classes, and so many things were playing on my mind. But then with the passage of time, and that's why they call it a cultural exchange as well.
Exactly.
So with everything, actually it was a kind of auto correction for everything. So everything got auto corrected for me. I subjectively speaking, so it all auto corrected for me. The food, getting used to the culture here, to the people, and mingling with them. Everything just went along with the passage of time from nice to nicer.
I will second Anwar's point of view. When I was coming to America, I was having two different emotions. The first one was I was so excited to explore new place, people, culture, and all this stuff. But second thing which I was going through was I'm having the habit of homesickness. I was never being away from my families for that much time period. But I would say that I'm such a fortunately I was among the candidates, participant, and my coordinators and the program director, they all collectively made this journey like I'm at home. So it was overall full of adventure and full of learning experiences.
Yeah, talking about homesickness, I want to add the point, because we had to compromise a lot to come over here, because I have got a son of 7-month-old, and I have to left him over there, and it was really a difficult time for me, and this program has made me bold enough to face anything.
Great. I would just add something cultural and experiences over here in Virginia as well as in Washington. First of all, the first thing I learned is about time. In every office, every shop, everywhere, when you are planning to go for some activity, you should be in time, not on time. We must be here before 10 to 5 minutes before the time. So I observed that in the classes,
Yes.
the teacher and our professors and everyone, they just waiting for the students already in the class. When I go to my home country, I will take care about time.
Okay.
Take care.
Yeah.
And it's the same for me too. I'm the one who's considered my laziness is just exemplary everywhere. When people talk about laziness or getting lazy, they just quote me. So for me, it's also something getting accustomed to a schedule where you have to be prepared, and you have to be tightening the laces of your shoes, and right from the word go. That is something which is also my takeaway, one of the greatest takeaway. And after being throughout for 5-6 weeks in this program, and when everybody push you to be on time, to be don't be late, it's something considered very odd here.
Yeah.
It's something considered, I heard from a guy I was talking to, that it's very rude if you are late. So it's my biggest takeaway from here that I would, inshallah, try to be like, I would try to practice the same thing back home as well.
Like it is said that time is money in America.
Yes.
Okay.
So
And
it's
it is.
very true.
Okay, Gulshan, would you talk about some personal activities in America they do? Do you think that that could be fruitful for your personal attitude? Like when they come across the
Yes.
Yes,
Where
I
you
really
smile.
like their smiling
okay.
face.
When they go outside the rooms, they hold down the door.
Yeah,
And they very
Wow.
that is really amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
On academic part of the discussion, I would say that teaching, we had workshop. The guest speakers, there were 3 teachers who were associated, who were actually allocated to teach us, but there were also some guest speakers coming in. And what I learned about their teaching strategy was that no matter how rubbish you speak, no matter how odd you speak, no matter how irrelevant you speak, they were not going to say that no, you are wrong.
Exactly.
And this is something we lack. Because every time it's very cultural for us, and especially it also like it's a kind of a thing which is from individual to individual, but as a whole, like culturally we are carrying it that we want to be bossy. And it was something like last night we had a dinner at diaspora, by Pakistani community dinner, and it was also discussed by one of the gentlemen that if somebody wants to comfort his life, then one thing should be that he should not be overstating things. Understatement is something like humility is something which could be brought in one's personality in order to make comforts for him or herself. So for me, like while teaching, I'm a very bossy person by overall. So I would inshallah try to take it that never to be this dictatorial approach which I have towards on the whole in a society and specifically in the class. I would try to minimize that. It is something like I learned, and I really felt like it was very fascinating for me. Because it works on 2 dimensions. One, you are not discouraging
Exactly.
the process of learning, which are called that learning filters. So you are avoiding that. And the second thing is that you are actually encouraging your students to learn,
Okay.
just to kill their anxiety. So the best thing is that whatever they see, they say, you agree with that. So it just gives them that leap to learn more in a more comfortable environment.
Yeah, again, talking about the academics, most of the time we are having teacher-centered classes. So we are having students as a passive learner. And
Yes.
sometimes they may get bored, or they are not. We are not having productive classes. So after attending classes over here, we attended classes in Blacksburg High School, Christiansburg Middle School, and there were so many community schools as well. So I found that we have got student-centered classes. Students are free to do anything they want, and they are learning by doing. So this is what I really inspired of. And when I'll go back, so I obviously apply these strategies. So I will be having student-centered classes.
Shazia, how many classes, how many schools have you visited for classroom observations?
I have visited 2 different schools, and one was a high school, Christianberg, and the other one was Auburn Middle School. So I will talk about the comparative,
Yes.
the classes comparatively in Pakistan and America. Like Gulshan said, we mostly practice teacher-centered approach, like where a teacher is the sole authority. And she is or he is supposed to initiate any activity, and students are supposed to be a passive recipient of information delivered to them through teacher. But in a student-centered learning approach, which is a common practice over here, where students are quite active, they do initiate activities, they are responsible for their learning, they are quite interested in learning, and they are responsible for their learning. And definitely, we are on such a phase to learn these strategies, and not only to learn, but to take these strategies with us to implement it back when we go back to our country, and to make it part of our teaching practices. Yes.
Okay, I would also add something about schools that we visited in 2 or 3 weeks. I observed that students here in school, they're free to do everything. And you also mentioned once that one student was lying on the floor while
They will enjoy
teacher was
eating in
teaching.
the classes.
Yeah.
Confident.
But I observed that every student doesn't pay attention to the teacher, but whenever teacher asks anything, every student speaks.
Yes.
I observed that. And that is because of ownership that is given to students from their teachers. And I would also try to avail this technique in my school too. I will give students ownership.
On a lighter note, I would like to add something that for the first time when I went to for class observation, I went to the Auburn Middle School. So I was made to sit with observe the class of Miss Laura Daniels. And when I got there, she just said, "Man, you can have a seat wherever you want." So when I got seated there, I observed that there was the student, a 7th grade student, and believe me, he had head on the floor. That's why I say, and feet on the wall. So for me, it was something very shocking. But with the passage of time, after observing her, she was an exceptional English teacher, and I thought her to be a born teacher. She was born with the teaching talent, and the way she handled the class, and she individually attended every student, from one student to another, and then so on. And her teaching methodology, like showing everything, whatever they were reading, she was showing that thing on the projector to them, and then she was also like assigning role to play on them, or so she was just exceptional for me. So like you mentioned that yes, they might not look like that attentive, but when it's come to the real thing, the crux of the thing, so they almost know everything.
Yeah.
And let more talk about community school that we had
Yes.
been. Gulshan, which class do you presented your culture in community school in Roanoke? Could you talk about more about
Okay,
it?
we talked about food and dresses as
Okay.
well. And as far as community schools are concerned, we got a chance to observe one of the classes of chemistry.
Okay.
And the teacher was performing an experiment in class, and she told us that they are not limited to some objectives or SLOs, or they are not given a specific syllabus to cover by the end of the year.
Okay.
But what they are doing is they are just making students prepare for their future. They are having long-term goals rather than having short-term goals. So it was really amazing for us.
I would like to suggest to the American government, through the lens of the camera, and to the American public in general, that these programs, and like the one we are having, the tea program or the culture exchange program, they should be encouraged, and there is a dire need of making waves for more programs, because what I learned and what I observe, it's my personal observation, and I hope all my colleagues they would agree with me, that there are two kinds of a relationship. One is government to government, and the other one is people to people. So people to people relationship is something that is missing, especially between the developing world and a developed world. So I would rather request or make a suggestion to all the high-ups or the people in charge to make waves, to facilitate people, to bring in more people from one area to another, so that they could share their culture together, and they could exchange their ideas and make this world a better place to live.
I would add something about conclusion that from my colleagues, from my colleague side, and all of us, we're really thankful to the U.S. government, U.S. State Department, who provided us such a wonderful environment that we experience a lot here, and all team they are connected to the T program here in America as well as in Pakistan. We are thankful to their generosity, and we are looking forward for such a programs in future too.
Exactly. I will conclude with a positive note that yes, we lack resources but not potential. We lack technology but not passion to implement those learned strategies back our home. And thanks to everyone for giving us this opportunity to polish our skills, professionally polish our skills. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I personally thankful to U.S. government for providing us such an opportunity to polish ourselves. We are not a single person from Pakistan, but we are representing different regions of Pakistan. When we go back, so we'll obviously implement our learnings over there. So it is fruitful for entire Pakistan, not for a single person. So I'm again thankful to every person who is included in this program.